There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it, says the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, bring your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that still bright hope, still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that hunger for still steady hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day in the rising sun across the foothills. The light that spreads across the face of the ones we love, the look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life. Loving us just as it is, just as we are. For this hour we come to celebrate, we come to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world. Come, let us worship together. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me in singing Gather the Spirit. It's number 347 in your hymnal, in your gray hymnal, which is under the seat in front of you or directly underneath of you. The words will also be on the screen. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour, our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in awe, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather I invite you to remain risen as we light our chalice and then say our covenant words together. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of service. And now I invite you to join me in saying our affirmation. We say it both in English and in Spanish as a reminder of the many languages spoken in this community and beyond, the many languages of the heart. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls may grow into harmony with the divine. To this we covenant with one another. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es su oración. Habitar juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y servir a la humanidad juntos, con el fin de que todas las almas puedan crecer en armonía con lo divino. Esto es lo que pactamos unos con otros.
We light this candle in recognition of the Tamian and Muwekma Ohlone indigenous peoples, who were the first humans to inhabit and sustain this land thousands of years before settler colonizers arrived. We honor the resilience of these indigenous peoples in the face of devastating harm, and we lift up the resilience of their neighboring tribe to the south, the Amamutsan tribal band, with whom we are working to preserve their sacred land of Yuristak and to ensure their culture continues to thrive. Welcome to worship with the First Unitarian Church of San Jose, where we are seekers, knowing that we do not know it all. We are glad that you are joining us this morning, as together we seek to learn and understand the world around us. It is challenging work, but it is good work as we grow and thrive. Thank you for being here today. We welcome you in whatever your gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, financial situation, body shape, or size, or functionality. We invite you to join us as we work to fulfill the mission of this congregation, to make love visible in all that we say and do. If you are new or visiting, thank you for becoming a part of this community, whether it's for the day alone or for the rest of your life. My name is Michael Thomas. I'm your worship associate for the morning. My pronouns are he and him. I appreciate you all being here. Now we're going to take a moment to say hi to our friends on the Zoom call. Everybody wave for the camera. It'll come around. It'll make it. And then we'll have the Zoom call show everyone who's joining us so they can all say hi to us. Good morning, one and all. If you are new here, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. You're also welcome to visit the welcome table after service during the social hour in Hattie Porter Hall through these double doors to my left.
And now, as it is the Advent season, I want to invite Brian and Marnie Singer to come up and light our second week Advent candle.
The 4 candles on this wreath, week 2 is peace. The 4 candles on this wreath count down through the season of Advent, a time of waiting, of cultivating patience. This season asks us to hold faith that all that we are becoming is still awakening under the surface of our lives. On this second Sunday of Advent, we light the candle of peace with the words of Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun. If we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's the true practice of peace.
May this time of waiting inspire our courage. May we find the soft spot in the pressures of this season and stay with it as we discern our way forward. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be at ease and discover the true practice of peace within us so that there might be peace in the world.
And now, it's time for our story for all ages. And so I want to invite those who are young or young at heart to join me up here in the labyrinth for our story today. So, I don't know about you, but it's been pretty cold these past couple weeks, right? You've been feeling a little chilly? It was chilly when I walked in. So, I want to tell you a story about someplace that is much, 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 much chillier than this. I heard Antarctica. Chicago is also a good guess, but no, we're going even colder than that. Antarctica. So when Antarctica plunges into winter darkness, almost every creature flees north towards more warmth. Every creature, that is, except for emperor penguins. While the rest of the world runs from the cold, these remarkable birds, not only do they not run from it, they walk directly into it, trekking across frozen seas to the most desolate places on earth. Why? Well, they've learned something about hope that few others understand. Sometimes the hardest choices lead to the greatest reward. So, The female penguins lay their eggs just as winter's fury is starting up. Temperatures drop to minus 50 degrees. Water freezes at 32 degrees. So minus 50. We don't even hit that usually here. The 32. Winds scream across the tundra at 120 miles per hour, incredibly fast. Any other creature would wait for spring as a time to have their baby. But emperor penguins don't wait. They choose to trust that this impossible season holds exactly what they need. And so, the mother, after the egg is laid, carefully passes her egg to the father, who balances it on his feet under a fold of warm skin. And then she walks away, leaving him alone with their future. And for 2 months, the father won't eat. He won't leave. He'll stand there in the howling darkness, protecting life with nothing but his own body and his unwavering commitment. But here's where the magic happens. Thousands of males huddle together, forming a massive shifting circle of warmth. And as those who get cold on the outside, as they start to get cold on the outside, they move inward to get more of the heat. And those in the center rotate back outwards. No penguin stays comfortable forever, and no penguin suffers alone. They take turns bearing the hardship because they understand that survival requires both courage and collective care. When the wind blows hardest, the huddle moves together as one, a walking fortress made up of ordinary birds choosing extraordinary cooperation. Inside the huddle, temperatures rise to a very comfortable 75 degrees. Can you imagine that? The penguins have actually created summer in the heat of the winter. By the time spring arrives and the mothers return from the sea, the eggs have hatched. The fathers, having lost nearly half their body weight, waiting, finally leave to feed. The chicks grow strong on the ice, perfectly timed for the returning abundance of the Arctic summer. And that's why they pick when they do, because they know that's the time to flourish. So the emperor penguins, to me, remind us that hope isn't about avoiding difficulty. It's about choosing to trust that even the harshest, most difficult circumstances can be navigated when we join together. They prove that hope works not through magic, but through commitment, through cooperation, and the stubborn decision to protect what matters most, no matter how impossible the odds may seem. Should we? I think we're generating some warmth here in the sanctuary. We're generating some hope here in the sanctuary, being together. So, as our children prepare to go off to their religious education classes, before we do that, let's sing our UU blessing. There are some hand signals, which you can do them with me if you know them, or even if you don't, they're pretty easy to pick up. May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the word. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
It is time once again for us to
Bring this down.
Is that working?
No, it's not working.
Is it working? There we go. Yay. No worries. It is time once again for us to follow in the footsteps of those who came before us and provide a foundation for those who will follow us. This offering that we will be taking allows us to provide a spiritual home for all, both in the here and now and for the future to come. As always, give what you can, and remember that if your presence among us is all you can give us, that is enough. We will now take the offering. To the work of the church, which is making love visible in all we say and do, we dedicate ourselves and these, our offerings.
with laughter and light, and the music of the season, and the merchants' windows are all bright with the faces of the children, and the families hurrying to their homes as the sky darkens and freezes. We'll be gathering around their hearths and tables, giving thanks for God's graces. And the birth of the rebel Jesus. Oh, they call him by the Prince of Peace, and they call him by the Savior, and they pray to him upon the seas, and in every boat they gather, as they fill his churches with their pride and gold, and their faith in him increases. But they turn the nature that I worship in from the temple to robbers' den. In the words of the rebel Jesus. We guard our world with locks and guns, and we guard our fine possessions. And once a year, when Christmas comes, we give to our relations. And perhaps we give a little to the poor, if the generosity should seize us. But if any one of us should interfere in the business of why they're poor, they get the same as the rebel Jesus. But please forgive me if I seem to take the tone of judgment, for I've no wish to come between this day and your enjoyment. In this life of hardship and of earthly toil, we have need for anything that frees us. So we bid you pleasure, and we bid you cheer, from a heathen and a pagan, on the side of the rebel Jesus.
Our lives are woven through with joys and sorrows, things that give us hope, things that sometimes make it feel like things are hopeless. Part of what we do as a religious community is come together so that we might share both those burdens and those celebrations together. In a moment, I'm going to sound this singing bowl, and after I do, I invite you to speak aloud into the space, or if you're joining us on Zoom, to type into the chat any joys or sorrows, any names or occasions that are on your heart this morning, that you would like lifted up into this community, with just letting words overlapping other words as we offer them in this, our embracing meditation. Who's living with violence? All that we have shared, and all that is too tender yet to share, and which we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We offer these into the embrace of this beloved community. And sometimes we need more, and so if you need someone to talk to about what's going on in your life, joy or sorrow you want to share, after the service, I invite you to stop by our pastoral associates table where you can light a candle or write something down in our book of joys and sorrows, or speak to our pastoral associate of the week, who you can always reach at any time by emailing pastoralassociates@sanjoseuu.org. That information is in your order of service. Just remember, you are not alone. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of meditation or prayer, to ground yourself here in this moment, the only one that we are given. Maybe that means finding a comfortable position, closing your eyes or softening your gaze, pressing your hands together or opening them to the world, noticing your breath. I offer these words from the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath, the foundation of our values and ethics. We are people who return to love like a north star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you to join me in singing Spirit of Life, which we'll sing both in English and in Spanish. The words will be on the screen.
The idea of choosing hope is one that really resonates with me. But many years ago, the idea of being able to choose hope, much less any other sort of reaction or emotion, was a foreign concept to me. We don't choose our emotional responses, they happen. I don't choose to feel love for my husband. I don't choose to get angry when my computer crashes. I don't choose to be disappointed when a store stops carrying my favorite ice cream, orange sherbet with dark chocolate chips. But then I learned about cognitive behavioral therapy, usually known as CBT. It's a form of psychological treatment used for a range of problems, including depression and anxiety disorders. It's entirely too complex to go into everything it details. Besides, I'm not a therapist. But the relevant facet about CBT for today is that we can, in fact, choose how we respond to situations. It's not a simple fix, no matter what those TikToks will tell you. There is no one simple trick to doing it. It involves a combination of two techniques. First, you have to learn how to calm your mind, to become aware of how your mind is reacting to a situation, to see your response forming as it's happening rather than after the fact. Secondly, you need to figure out how you wish to respond to a situation and respond that way. Like when my computer crashes, I usually respond with a sigh now and at the potentially lost work that I've just left behind, instead of my first instinct, which had been throwing the computer across the room. At first, it may be hard. It's not your default reaction. But with practice, the pattern becomes easier to repeat. Each repetition enforces your new intention as the neural pathways that get used more often tend to react more quickly. Our brains learn to react to the stimulus with our intended response instead of the old one. Eventually, the intended response becomes our default. All of that was a very long way of saying, fake it until you make it. A relevant example that I've recently gone through. Like many of us, the current political situation has been one where hope is hard to find. When word circulated of the No King's March earlier this year, my response first was, what's the point? Nothing's going to change. And I stopped and reflected, no, that's not a useful feeling. Not the response I wish to see in the world, and change starts with me. So instead, I intentionally chose hope. I chose to hope that marching will make a difference, that together we could influence the conversation. And then the second No King's March came along. I could tell my brain wanted to respond again with the pointlessness of it all, but then it didn't. I'd already had a chance to practice choosing hope, so doing so a second time was that much easier. It was especially helpful that the latter march had an even greater attendance, reinforcing the success of having chosen hope. I'm sure that I will have many more opportunities to practice that skill, but I do know that each time I choose hope makes the next time even easier, because we still need to have hope in all of our trying times.
The theologian and poet Jan Richardson says, "My sense of hope can get a little wobbly, but I keep learning how blessedly stubborn hope can be. True hope, real hope, hope that is something quite other than wishful thinking. Hope seems to keep working in me like a deep muscle memory, setting me in motion when I don't know how to move on my own." This is her poem, Blessing of Hope. So may we know the hope that is not just for someday, but for this day. Here, now, in this moment that opens to us. Hope not made of wishes, but of substance. Hope made of sinew and muscle and bone. Hope that has breath and a beating heart. Hope that will not keep quiet and be polite. Hope that knows how to holler when it is called for. Hope that knows how to sing when there seems little cause. Hope that raises us from the dead. Not someday, but this day. Every day. Again and again and again. I want to invite you to join in singing our next song. Join me in the choir in singing We Rise by Batya Levine. It's a song that came out of a protest movement and seeing inspiration in that, no matter what had come before. And so there are going to be parts, we'll invite you to sing on the chorus, and there's a response on the verses as well. The words to the chorus will be up on the screen, and the response in the chorus is just, "We rise or rise," and you'll be able to figure it out. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. In prayer, we're right here, and we rise. Rise, with tears and with courage, rise. Fighting for life, we rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer. Ourselves here in hope, in prayer. We're right here, and we rise. Rise, won't be divided. Rise, Spirit to guide us. Rise. Whew. During times like these, it's easy to be pessimistic about the state of. It can sometimes feel like hope is hard to find. One of the places I find hope is in the Mission Impossible movies. Now, there's always a point, many points in every Mission Impossible movie, where the characters are set out to try to do something that, if not impossible, is something that has a low possibility to succeed. And yet they try anyway. There's a line in Mission Impossible Fallout where Ethan Hunt, the character played by Tom Cruise, the lead of the film series, before getting ready to attempt their latest mission, where the odds are once again stacked against them, remarks, "And now we have to hope." And then another agent says, "Hope is not a strategy." And his ally chimes in, "Oh, you must be new." And yes, they do all sorts of impossible things. The Mission Impossible series has become known for the sort of spectacle of Tom Cruise actually performing these dangerous stunts himself. So like climbing up the side of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest tower in the world, like on the outside, and then having to look like he's about to fall. Or literally holding on to the side of a plane while it takes off down a runway, just like holding on to the door. Or riding his motorcycle off a cliff, like literally like off a ramp, off a cliff, and then leaping off of it and opening his parachute to come down for a landing. It's pretty impressive. It really is. Even though you know it's going to work out every time. It gets the heart pumping. Now, for these dangerous stunts, though, in real life, they aren't actually relying on hope. It's as well planned and as safe as they can make it. But there's still, in many of them, some danger. Like, he literally jumped off, like some of them he has like wires to protect him, to keep him protected. But like he literally jumped off a cliff and then opened his parachute to land 6 times in a row so they could get enough good shots of it. And each time, like if something didn't go right, that was it. There's no safety net. And there's one that like Tom Cruise was like jumping from rooftop to rooftop because he likes to do his own stunts, and he actually like broke his foot because he hit the opposite wall too hard with his foot the wrong way. But they do a lot to make sure that they're prepared to know what to do and how to do it safely. But in the story, of course, in the story of the movie, there's no time to make sure it's going to be safe. They just have to do it. They just have to try because oftentimes the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Hope can be stubborn sometimes, or seem illogical or unreasonable to try something against the odds. The thing is, hope is not the same as optimism. The optimist says things will probably work out. Hope says, I will align myself with what is good and just, even if the world gives me reasons not to. Krista Tippett, the journalist and host of the On Being radio program and podcast, says, the hope that interests me looks the world full on. It looks reality in the face, and it refuses to accept that things have to be this way. And then this orientation of hope throws one's intelligence, one's energy, one's persistence, one's creativity and courage behind that insistence. That is what choosing hope is about. And the thing is, it doesn't always work out. Things don't always go right in the Mission Impossible films either. Indeed, things often go wrong. In fact, that's actually why Tom Cruise's character is talking about having to hope because their previous plan has already gone totally horribly wrong. And now they have to adapt to a new circumstance and try to come at the problem in a different way. Now, we don't live in an action movie where some hero is going to come along and save the world. Although we've been conditioned by movies like Mission Impossible or, Armageddon or whatever, where some people are going to get together and avert the crises that we're facing. It's all going to work out. And we can't know that. And so, nevertheless, we have to choose hope. Because the other option is to assume that, well, nothing is going to work out and then not try. And boy, if that isn't a self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the things I've learned over the years as someone who's been involved in numerous protest movements is that sometimes campaigns fail, movements stall, and it can be easy to lose hope in those moments, to give up. I've seen it happen over and over. I've even participated in it myself. We're eager to support a cause, a movement when it's hot, when people are filling the streets, but then fade away when the slower, less exciting work of organizing is needed, going on in the background. But that work is critical. The energy seemingly going underground, waiting for the right moment to break forth again, sometimes in an unexpected way. The movement for Black Lives, the climate justice movement, were shaped by the Occupy movement, which, did it succeed in its goals? Maybe not. Maybe so. Maybe it's a mix. It changes, it grows, it builds on what came before. And of course, the Occupy movement was in turn inspired by the Arab Spring. And shortly before the Arab Spring, a comic book about Martin Luther King and civil disobedience, translated into Arabic, was widely distributed in Egypt. And of course, Dr. King also found inspiration in Gandhi, protesting for Indian independence, who himself was inspired by the radical protests of British suffragists and the writings of Leo Tolstoy, who in turn was inspired by the civil disobedience of Henry David Thoreau, protesting slavery and the Mexican-American War. And that's the way hope arises in new, unexpected ways of drawing too on what came before with the wisdom of our elders and our ancestors surrounding us. We rise. Obviously, there are times when planning and working for something that you feel has energy and possibility behind it is makes sense, and to put that energy where you can is helpful, and sometimes we don't have that opportunity. There are plenty of times where we can't know the outcome. Is the chemotherapy going to work against the cancer? If I tell this person I like them, are they going to reciprocate and say they like me back? Risking heartbreak? If you work on a campaign for something, it may not succeed. And yet, our values call us to continue to work for that possibility that we want to see, to work for that better and brighter world. Because the other option is just to give in. And it may feel like the safer option. I know was tempted by, and I'm sure many of you, for instance, after this last year's election, to just want to curl into a ball. And there was moments for that. I mean, there's time for that, right? You know, to take time for rest and recovery. That's also what this season is about, is of turning inward sometimes, of building strength and energy, so that it can emerge once again, so that we can put our energy into that sense of hope, of working for that world we want to create. The Christmas story, too, is one of hope. A carpenter's son growing up in a land occupied by a foreign empire, born in a manger. Jesus and his family literally have to flee their home when he's a child. They have to flee their home, go to Egypt to avoid persecution. And then he comes back to confront the powers that be, to develop a movement, leading a rebellion, the rebel Jesus, of course, leading a rebellion against empire, of saying, I can see a better way for this world. I can see a better way for how I want to live. And of course, Jesus is killed for that. And yet, his message, his story, like so many stories, have inspired people in generations to come, of new possibilities, of working for a better world, of trying to bring about a heaven on earth. And so we hope. Not doing something because we think it's going to happen. Another recent example, Zoran Mamdani. When he entered the race, he said, he was like, I have a 1% chance of winning this race. And he mostly joined the race because he wanted to be a progressive voice, and he wanted to help shape the campaign and what people were talking about. And a few months later, here he's the mayor of the largest city in the country, a democratic socialist, no less, and a Muslim, and an immigrant. The philosopher Alfonso Lengus says, hope is hope against the evidence. Hope arises and breaks with the past. There's a difference between simple expectation and hope. One could say, because I see this is the way things are going, this is the way things have developed, I expect this to happen. Expectation is based on a pattern you see in the past. I think hope is a kind of birth. It doesn't come out of what came before. It comes out in spite of what went before. Abruptly, there's a break, and there's an upsurge of hope. And indeed, as difficult as the times we are living in might be, there have been many times when people have faced great difficulty, faced great challenges, sometimes life-threatening, sometimes existential crises, and have found ways through, have worked to bring about a better world. And so in this moment, when so many of us may worry about what is happening, let us keep that vision in our minds of the world that we want to create, and put our energy into the hope that that future is possible. Maybe not even just possible, but on its way. To choose to hope. And then if it doesn't go the way we expect it to go, maybe exactly, or maybe totally off from the mark, to look at the situation yet again and say, okay, this is the moment we find ourselves in. What do we do now? We choose hope again and again. And through that, we come closer to building that world that we dream about, of making it a reality. That's a hope I can believe in. Before we wrap up our service, I want to express my gratitude to those people who have made this service happen, to our worship associate, to our choir, to our musicians, pianist and music director for making such beautiful music, for our tech folks making it so that you all can hear it both here in the sanctuary and at home. Those of you joining us on Zoom, those who are part of the welcoming people in this community, those who have set up for coffee hour, those who will clean up for coffee hour and may not even know it yet. I'm amazed that I've said that so many times and it still gets a laugh, but and I want to also draw your attention to a couple of announcements. So today, after the service here in the sanctuary, we're going to be having a meeting about our religious education program, which has been, growing again after kind of declining dramatically during the pandemic. And so as we're getting ready to hire a new RE director to start in the new year, which we're in the process of, an opportunity to look at the program and how we want to support it, what we want it to look like, and a reminder that this is the work of supporting the religious education program is it's not just about the kids and the parents or families or even just the teachers, but the work of engaging in religious education or religious exploration, of supporting that, is the whole congregation's work. So I invite you, if you're curious, to stick around. If you have some thoughts about what you might like to do, about how you might like to step in, I invite you to stick around here. Also, after the service, our Social Justice Council is meeting in the fireside room at around 12:45 to talk about the justice work that we're doing there. And there's going to be like a little extra food than we normally have after church this Sunday. So if you're staying for one of those, or if you're staying for the writers group, feel free to take more snacks or a light lunch, however you want to think about it. And if you're not sticking around, maybe don't eat lightly. I invite you to. And then finally, one last thing. Today at 3:00. There's going to be a special concert presented by the De Anza College Choir. They reached out to us about hosting a second concert of theirs, of a performance of Considering Matthew Shepard. It's an oratorio about, many of you may remember, Matthew Shepard was the young man who was killed in a hate crime as a gay man back in 1998. And speaking of hope emerging from dark times, his death, which was galvanizing for the country and really provided an opportunity to look at how hate has manifested itself and to push back against it, and a movement has continued to grow out of that. So I hope you'll come. It's a $5, it's a $10 concert, $5 for members. It's also a suggested donation, so no one turned away for lack of funds. So I hope you'll maybe stick around for one of the meetings, then go get some lunch or come back and see that concert here. There's also going to be some other music in addition to the Considering Matthew Shepard, but that's the main piece. Oh, and then one last thing. Next week is our multi-generational holiday pageant. So that's the service where everyone's in it, and we're going to have a wonderful story about different stories of birth and creation from a lot of different traditions and cultures. And it's a no rehearsal pageant, so all you need to do is show up, unless you're one of the people who I've tapped to help out in advance. And it'll be, I think, a lot of fun. So I hope to see you there for that as well. All right. And so now let us close with our closing hymn, I Know I Can. Please rise in body or in spirit. It's a, where's my words? There we go. It's number 1015 in your teal hymnal, but we're going to be singing verses 1, 2, and then 4, and then we're taking a break. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to sing verse 5, but you're going to want to look at the lyrics on the screen for that, because they're not the same. So again, we're doing 1, 2, and 4 if you're following along in the hymnal. And then go to the screen. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know, I can go on. When sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is here. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. As the Reverend Edward Everett Hale said, I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. May we go from this place knowing that hope is not a certainty, but a choice. When the world offers us despair, may we choose possibility. When cynicism seems reasonable, may we choose engagement. May our hope be grounded in love and expressed through action. Amen, and blessed be